Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room, everybody. What's going on? I'm Mistress Carrie, and I don't even need a pug cam tonight because she's sitting on my lap. Say hi, Wednesday. Say hi. Say hi. Welcome to episode 120 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie, and with me, as always, is my cohort, my compatriot, my co-host, Wednesday the Goth Pug, which is where you can find her on Instagram. She has been with me for every episode all along the way. And when you were locked down due to a global pandemic, you obviously are going to set up a camera and make your dog your official co-host. And she has been with me for all 120 episodes. So I got to thank her for her loyalty. Of course, if you are new to Cocktails in the War Room, welcome to the show. The show debuted back on March 14th for the first time in 2020, and now we are at episode 120. We did 80 nights in a row, and then we transitioned the show to a weekly show, and I bring it up because that's going to be a very important piece of information because I got big news. So I want to say what's up to everybody. What's up, Thomas? Hey, Paula. What's going on, Donna? 120, woo, says Jeff. Hey, Wednesday, don't eat those. She's going after the bag of dicks on the table. You can't have those. What's going on, Joe, Kim? Let's see, Tracy, Eric, Brianna, Danielle. Is she a co-host or a sidekick? I don't know. Is there a difference? I guess a sidekick. She doesn't really do any of the heavy lifting when it comes to the talking. Wednesday, get down. Come on, get over here. You can't eat the bag of dicks. That's not for you. Come over here. There you go. I'll turn on your pug cam for you. So I guess we're going to call her the sidekick then, because she's not really a co-host, and she's definitely not getting co-host pay, although you guys do spoil her with all of the crazy toys that you have purchased for her over the last almost full year. I mean, we're literally less than 2 weeks out from the anniversary, which is unbelievable. What's going on, Trisha, Mark, Jason, Jay, Brian, Carol, Michael, everybody checking in. I am so excited for tonight's show. You guys have no idea. I have been chomping at the bit all day because I have so much stuff to talk to you guys about. Big announcement about the 1-year anniversary of Cocktails in the War Room. Are you going to let me make this announcement, or do you want to play right now? Cheers to you guys just making it through the week. First of all, let's just get that out of the way. So cheers. Look at Wednesday looking at my drink. You can't have that. You can't have this. No, you can't have that. Here, have your dinosaur. You fix your camera. You're just going to hang out? Can I leave your pug cam on? What do you want to do? Oh, I guess she's going to hang out with us tonight. So I have all kinds of stuff to talk to you guys about. I have a big announcement. I think you guys are going to be super psyched about who's on the podcast this week. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So Wednesday, are you going to hang out? Can I make the big announcement? So I had a meeting yesterday. Anybody with a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass already knows what's going on because they get filled in on everything early. But I had a meeting yesterday. We've been talking about the year anniversary of Cocktails in the War Room for a while now and trying to figure out, especially with COVID, which on one hand is making everything difficult, but on the other hand, we wouldn't be, I got something on my face, somebody said. We wouldn't be sitting here in the war room if we weren't locked down because of the coronavirus. So it's kind of hard to be mad at it right now. There she goes. So we've been talking about how are we going to celebrate the anniversary and do it responsibly and do it in a way that is going to make everybody happy. I think I figured it out. There are different laws and different regulations for every state. Obviously, we're here in Massachusetts. If you guys didn't hear, Texas and Mississippi, they are lifting all of the COVID restrictions. No masks, concerts, everything. They're just going full on. They're just ripping their shirts off and running down the street shirtless, letting the titties fly. Here, obviously, we have to be a little bit more careful. There's still restrictions on live performances. You can't have music performed that has brass instruments because of all of the spit and the stuff. And that's why you can't have live singing because, well, lead singers spit a lot. So it's kind of hard to have events. However, we are not a musical performance, we are a podcast. So we are having an anniversary party, and we are doing it in the only way we know how. So I want to thank everybody at the Boat in Drakeit, which is a rock club. It's been there for a really long time. It was called the Boat House. It's been named a bunch of different things. They took the opportunity last year while they were closed because of the COVID restrictions to gut the place and redo it. They have a big, beautiful stage. There's tons of room to put tables and chairs. They have a full kitchen, full bar. It is a live rock venue, but obviously without bands, it's kind of hard to throw a party there, but not for Cocktails in the War Room. So here's the deal. March 14th, next Sunday night. I'll give you all the details. Next Sunday night, party starts at 7. We are going to do a bonus episode of Cocktails in the War Room. So we're going to continue to do them on Tuesdays, obviously. So next Tuesday, we'll get together again here in the War Room. And for the first time, we are taking Cocktails in the War Room on deployment. And we are taking Cocktails in the War Room live to the Boat in Drakeit on Sunday night, March 14th. Now, if you're not able to join us in person, you can watch the show. And I'm hoping, Wednesday, stop crying. I'm making an announcement. You'll be able to watch the show, obviously live right here. But if you're able to make it, you'll be able to come and meet some of the people from the War Room that you've been talking to online, but have not been able to meet them yet. So we're going to sign on for Cocktails in the War Room live at 8:30 like we always do. The boat is at 50% capacity. So it can fit over 100 people, but it's meeting the COVID restrictions of no parties over 6. So what I would encourage, if there's some people that want to come, maybe 1 or 2 people, that you figure out who's going to be in your COVID bubble and you guys share tables or work out who's going to get tested or however you want to work it out, whatever your safety and comfort level is. We're going to get everybody together. It's 21 plus. It's going to be completely COVID compliant. There's a full kitchen. We're going to bring out the Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts, so you'll be able to get them in person if you haven't been able to get them off the website yet. And there are going to be special guests. Now, I already got confirmation about someone that I believe is going to join us in person. I don't want to say yet because I want to make sure now that all the details are situated that he's going to be able, it's a guy, that he's going to be able to make it. And I'm also working on getting a guest via Skype as well. So not only am I going to have a guest or 2 on the show, but also I'm hoping to be able to get some of the people from the War Room to be able to come on the show live from the boat, to be able to say hi to all of the people that aren't able to join us. And we're going to be able to hang out. Why on that day, Joe wants to know. Because March 14th is the anniversary. That's the day Cocktails in the War Room debuted. It was on March 14th, 2020. So we're doing the anniversary party on the actual anniversary of March 14th, 2021. That's why we're doing it. And plus, the boat's not open on Tuesdays. So we couldn't do a regular weekly episode there because they're not open on Tuesday. There's no free beer. I'm not that crazy. This is an opportunity for a bunch of different things. It's an opportunity for us to support a local music venue. It is an opportunity for us to try and get together in a responsible way. And it's an opportunity to check out what I'm hoping is going to be a new up and coming live music venue up in the Drakeit area. So if you're looking for the address, it's right there. It's on Tingsboro Road in Drakeit. There is an event already live on the events calendar on mistresscarrie.com that has the link. And I think it's going to be awesome. I know that not everybody's going to be able to come. I know that, we're only going to be allowed to bring so many people in. There was no way to kind of reserve sections and whatever. So it's just going to be first come, first serve. And I just hope that we're going to be able to fill the place as carefully as we can and as COVID compliant as safely as possible, because I want to be able to help this venue make some money and to hopefully have this be a place where we're going to be able to see shows and bring in some awesome artists. And so I'm pretty excited. So I went and checked the place out yesterday, and the stage looks great. They did an unbelievable job redoing the place. The food's really good. I had buffalo chicken macaroni and cheese yesterday. It was really good. And yes, you have to wear pants, Joe. I'm sorry. It's all of the same rules. You got to wear the mask till you're sitting at the table. The whole deal. But they haven't been able to have live bands in there because of COVID. But we worked it out where we're going to be able to separate me and the cameras and the table and get everybody distanced enough so that we're going to be able to have people there, and to be able to meet for the first time. And we're going to try this out. And I'm hoping that everything goes really well so that we can take Cocktails in the War Room on deployment from time to time and actually do the show in other places besides just the War Room, which seems counterintuitive considering the show's named after the room we film it in. But I want to be able to take the show on the road. And so we're going to try it. I will try to go since I'm taking the next day off, says Thomas. Won't make it no funds. Joshua, you can join us right here in the War Room. We're going to be doing the exact same thing, and we're working out all the engineering so that the show will be up on all the TVs. So everybody that's watching, that's there will be able to watch it on the TVs, and then everybody that's going to watch it live on Facebook, that everybody will be able to see it. There's a delay, though, when you stream stuff online, so we're trying to work all of that. Do they have bar seats? I'm coming alone, or just table seats? Everything's table, Danielle. So that's why I'm saying if there's some of you that might be going alone, and this is all up to obviously your comfort levels when it comes to sitting at the same table with other people that aren't in your COVID bubble. Everybody needs to be safe, and everybody needs to do whatever it is that they're going to do to make themselves safe and COVID compliant, and just to be careful. By no means do I want this to become a super spreader event. I want to be able to just do what we can. When I got married last August, we got married outside and had everybody separated, and we just did it the best way we could. And we're going to do this the same way. We're going to follow the rules and be safe. We've come this far with the coronavirus, and I wanted to be able to commemorate our 1-year anniversary the best we could. And I'm really excited, and I am so grateful to the guys at the boat who have opened up their place and said, yeah, you know what? We can do this safely. There's enough floor space for us to be able to set all of the tables and chairs up 6 feet apart. And because it's a big enough room, even at 50% capacity, we're going to be able to have a good crowd. So Lord help us. Carrie and Bree on camera at the same time. Y'all ain't ready. I'm pretty excited. I have to upgrade some stuff because I got to be able to do more than just the pug cam. So I'm working on trying to incorporate some other cameras because I want to be able to show everybody in the crowd. And obviously my setup here in the War Room is pretty basic. So I've got to expand and figure out technically how I'm going to make all of this work. But I got like a week and a half to do it. So I have been so excited since yesterday when we figured out, yes, we can pull it off. And I couldn't wait to tell you guys. So let's have an anniversary. Let's celebrate everything that we've gone through so far this year, and be safe about it. And let's see if we can pull this off. And hopefully in the not too distant future, we're going to be able to pull it off where we're going to be nut to butt, elbow to elbow, rubbing boobs, packed in a club, sweating all over each other, hugging, and strangers making out. Like, I can't wait till we're all sharing germs again. Good germs, not bad germs. But in the meantime, this is how we do it. Are you making 1-year anniversary t-shirts? Jen wants to know. No, I'm not, just because we rolled out the Cocktails in the War Room shirts for the charity, for the Massachusetts Military Support Foundation, which, by the way, I heard from them today. And we are working on dates. I told him that I really wanted to try and work on a weekend date if we could to pack food boxes, and that it needed to be weeks in advance so we could really coordinate an even bigger group of volunteers. Because if you were at the first Food for Vets volunteer day, you know how big that warehouse is, and it is not hard at all for us to be COVID compliant and to be separated and to pack those food boxes for veterans that are immunocompromised and in need of food assistance. And so I'm working on a date that will probably be in April, because I want to give us enough time to schedule it out. There's a chance it could be at the end of March, but I think I want to try and do it in April. And as soon as I have some more dates or some more details on the final volunteer day, I'll let you guys know as well. But what's up, Kaiser? Kaiser's joining us here in the War Room. He's the one that made the podcast intro, which rocks. So badass. What's happening with the big gig? Stop rushing me, Michael. That's coming up in music headlines. I planned out the show already. Stop rushing. So I will let you guys know about Food for Vets. But this episode of Cocktails in the War Room that we're going to do on the anniversary is going to be a bonus episode. So this is episode 120. Next Tuesday will be 121. And then next Sunday will be 122. And then we'll meet up again 2 days later on a Tuesday like we always do for episode 123. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm glad you guys are excited too, which is awesome. We lost my sidekick. She's gone. I don't know where Wednesday is, but she took off. So cheers to our early celebration of our anniversary. Salud. Okay. Let's talk about episode 38 of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did talking to these guys. Mike and Ben from Royal Blood are just amazing. And I told you, if you liked Royal Blood's music and if you were into British humor, you were going to love this week's episode. And they did not disappoint. They are part stand-up comedians and just amazing musicians, and their music is awesome. Their new album, Typhoons, comes out at the end of April. And if you have not listened to episode 38 yet, I think you guys are going to love it. What? No, Wednesday's not coming to the anniversary party. There's no way in hell I'm going to be able to host the show with her running around. Hell no. The boat is on a lake. I would not leave it. I wouldn't put it past Wednesday for her to run across the ice. And yeah, that's just not happening. So did you guys enjoy episode 38? Did you learn anything about the band? What was your favorite part? Let's see. Eric says they are 100% traditional Brits. Good fucking God. God save the Queen. I know. They were drinking tea. It was ridiculous. Oh, did you guys see my shirt, by the way? I got swag for the boat. Can't wait. Let's see. Karina says, I remember that night. It was the best. I can't believe it's been almost a year. I know. Skype cameras. Oh, trust me. I can do it with this setup that we run in the War Room. I just need to get more cameras. So I'm going to work on it. We got time. It's going to be good. Melissa says, podcast was great. Happy early anniversary, War Room, says Michael. I'll be the official pug wrangler of the night, says Brianna. No, Wednesday's staying at home that night. Let's see. I hope Linda from the main hair lounge can squeeze me in before the 1 year anniversary party, says Tony. Yeah, I'm hoping she could squeeze me in. Are you kidding me? I got to get my hairs did too. Let's see. Hi guys, I'm late. Damn meeting. Don't worry about it, Kathy. So if you guys want all the details, including the link and everything to the party, by the way, just go to the events page at mistresscarrie.com to go to the calendar. Okay. Who's on the podcast this week? I have been waiting to tell you guys. It took 39 weeks. It took 39 episodes. I finally got Sully on the podcast. So the episode that goes live at midnight tonight, finally, the composer of the official theme song of the Mistress Carrie podcast, War Drums, Sully Erna from Godsmack, is my guest on this week's podcast, and you guys are not going to be disappointed. He dropped some bombs in this podcast. If you want to know what's going on with Godsmack, I got the details. We recorded this episode while he was driving to Florida. It's the only time I can ever get him to sit still long enough to do anything. And he was like, let's record the podcast while I'm driving. I said, okay. And we talked about a lot of stuff. We got into it a little bit about COVID and talked about that. We talked about music. We talked about WAF. We talked about parenting, as he is the parent of a 19-and-a-half-year-old. We talked about why he was on his way to Florida. He has purchased a property down there and talked about why he purchased it and the reasons behind it and what he's got going on down there. I can't tell you I cannot ruin the bombs that he dropped. The last 20, 25 minutes of the podcast, I think, because it's a long one. It's a couple hours because he and I just can't shut up. We talked about Tom Brady. We talked about, how can I say this without ruining it? Because I don't want to ruin it. I want you guys to have the awe, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that experience when you guys listen to it. Because if you could have seen my face when we were doing the interview, when he talks about the swing set, that's all I can't tell you any more than that. The story about the swing set, just please make sure that your bladder is empty before you listen to this episode of the podcast, because I almost peed a little when he talked about the swing set. I can't tell you any more about the swing set or why it came up or in what context, because when you hear it, you're going to die laughing. We had a very particular conversation about songwriting, and he dropped a bomb. I have known him almost 25 years, and I didn't know this. I cannot give it away. We will talk extensively about it next Tuesday. But he told me something, and I was like, wait, what? Shut up. I don't believe you. And it's been corroborated. And to my knowledge, it has not been talked about in public. Sully is the kind of person that I have to remind him that I'm recording him. And when I started the interview, I'm like, I'm recording you. You guys hear me do it on all the episodes. I tell everybody, because a lot of times when I record these episodes, we talk for a few minutes ahead of time. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit record now. And when I record them, there's a light. If we're doing it on the video system that I have, there's a red light that shows them that they're recording. And I remind them throughout the episode, because sometimes, especially with somebody like Sully that I've known a long time, I'm like, you know, I'm recording you, right? And then when we finish the interview, I hit stop. And you heard it when the From Ashes to New episode, we kept talking, and then I turned the recorder back on. I was like, you know I'm recording you, right? And he was like, yeah, I know. So I was shocked. But there's some really interesting stuff just about what's going on with Godsmack, how he's been spending his time, what the band's been up to. There's a lot to unpack in this episode. And I will tell you that when I record these episodes, I just leave them. Sometimes I go in and have to fix, feedback, or like a couple times, like his cell phone cut out a little bit. So I do a little bit of post-production and try to get the audio quality to sound as good as I can. But what I don't do is edit the episodes down and cut things out and add things and move things around. You'll be able to tell with this episode that this was just a stream of consciousness conversation between two friends that have known each other a really long time. And we kind of hop around a little bit, but I did everything that I could to keep him on point and focused. And what's really funny is that he was driving with Godsmack's video guy. And he told me that I was being recorded on his end. I don't know if he's ever going to do anything with the video. Who knows? But okay, Keith, he says, hey, fuckers, really struggling right now. Drop some F-bombs for me. You got it. Keith, keep your head up. It's all good. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Can't believe his daughter is 19 and a half. Trust me, I wiped her ass. I can't believe she's 19 and a half. It's insane. I was there the day she was born. Is he showing up at the boat? Not to my knowledge, no. You'll understand why when you hear the interview. Um, but I think you guys are really going to love this episode, and I think it's going to be one of your favorites. The feedback I get from you guys about every week's episode, not only the feedback that I get here in the war room, but also the feedback that I get, the comments on the podcast and the comments and the retweets and all of the stuff on social media is the comfortable conversations and just having a conversation. I don't want it to sound like a structured interview. I just want it to be this really comfortable talk. And this is exactly that. Carol, he actually said those exact words in the interview. He said, I have no filter. We talked about his musical influences. We talked about the future of rock and roll. We talked about the relationship between the fans and the artists. He's featured in that film Long Live Rock, the documentary that we've been talking about. Surprises are fun. Yeah, there's a couple times in this interview that you're gonna go, no fucking way, and you're gonna go, oh, that's what Carrie was talking about. There's some good ones. Tracy says, I can't wait to listen. Were you gobsmacked? Yeah. I think you guys are gonna love this episode. It's fantastic. It was a lot of fun. And I'm so glad between LB and Sully, I think those are the two most highly requested episodes since I kicked off the podcast last summer. And so now you guys are going to have to come up with new requests because the top two, LB and Sully, check. And of course, Brent and Corey, we checked those off early with episodes 1 and 2. But Kim says, congratulations on 120 episodes. See you all soon. See you at the boat. She means episodes of Cocktails in the War Room. We're at number 120 tonight, which is insane. I've heard firsthand he has no filter. Oh, he has no filter. And he had no filter in this episode. It's going to be awesome. Release it. Steve, I'm not giving anything away. I want you to listen to the episode. And don't just fast forward to the end because it'll ruin it. You want to just listen all the way through because there's some really great stuff all the way through. He talked about the performance that they did to kick off Tom Brady's last season with the Pats, that Godsmack performance on the field. Talked about that. I'm super psyched. I cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on this episode. So episode 39 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight. And don't forget, if you subscribe to the podcast, not only do you get the weekly full-length episodes, but Monday through Friday, you get all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in under 5 minutes with the sit rep. And if you subscribe to the podcast, you get the sit rep as well. And if you go to mistresscarrie.com, all of the previous episodes are up there. However you subscribe to podcasts, it's there. And it's growing all the time. Apple, Google, Spotify, radio.com, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Deezer, Overcast, TuneIn, Player FM, Podbean, CastBox, Beyond Pod, Downcast, Podcast Republic, Pod Crusher, Bullhorn, Podkicker, Pandora, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Amazon, JioSaavn, Ghana, What's Up to Our Friends in India, Podcast Addict, Mozilla, and of course, I am a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. So wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, just go there, search Mistress Carrie, see this logo right there, click subscribe. And if you love the podcast, the only other thing I'll ask you to do, those reviews and comments really do help get the word out about podcasts. So if you love the episodes, give them 5-star reviews and leave comments because it helps with the algorithms on whatever podcast outlet you're using. And what it'll do is the more comments and the more interaction there is, the more that, Apple or Google or Spotify will recommend my podcast to other people that may not know about it. So keep those comments, keep subscribing. Don't just go on the website and listen to the episodes. Click subscribe because that helps the algorithms as well. And we're holding strong at 99 countries. The Mistress Carrie podcast is worldwide. And I want to thank our sponsors, Digital Federal Credit Union at dcu.org, who, by the way, is hiring. So if you are looking for a gig, their benefits packages are amazing, and they are hiring for full and part-time employees. And you can go to dcu.org/careers to get more details on that. They are sponsors of the weekly podcast episodes. And of course, the main Hair Lounge is the sponsor of the Sit Rep. Okay, let's talk about some music headlines. Let me get this out of my face a little bit. There we go. Okay. The documentary that I was talking about that Sully was interviewed for, Long Live Rock, the documentary film that really goes deep into the relationship between rock artists and their fan base, that is going to debut next week. And it's listed on the events calendar on mistresscarrie.com if you want to check out all of the details on the film, as is all of the info about the Dropkick Murphys free live stream, which is coming up on St. Patrick's Day. The live stream kicks off at 7 p.m. here in Boston live, and it's free. And all they're doing is passing the virtual hat and asking people to throw a few bucks in. They're doing this live stream to help take care of their crew and all of the people that are employed by the Dropkick Murphys to try and keep all of those people working during the COVID shutdown. Wanted to remind you guys that Coming to America 2 is getting released on Friday. The trailer looks hilarious. It's one of the movies that I quote more than any other movie. My sister and I could probably carry on a full conversation just using Coming to America quotes. So I cannot wait for the new movie. So it comes out on Friday. I want to remind you about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan voting for inductees. The rock artists nominated: Rage Against the Machine, The Foos, Devo, the New York Dolls, Iron Maiden, Todd Rundgren, and the Go-Go's. There are, I believe, 16 nominees altogether. Those are just the rock nominees. And we can all agree that especially bands like Iron Maiden, Rage Against the Machine, just underrepresented in the Rock Hall. And they are using the fan voting to a certain extent. So vote. There's new music coming this Friday from Dirty Honey, a new song from their upcoming album. They haven't released the title of the album yet, but the name of the song is called California Dreamin'. It is not a cover, and it comes out this Friday. And Evanescence is releasing another new song coming up on March 10th. So we got some great new music on the way, which I'm really excited about. And somebody asked earlier about what's going on with the big gig. There is going to be an announcement about the big gig. I believe it's coming Friday morning. And I can't release the information yet. I do have it. And that information, I believe, is going to get announced by Mike Shue on his new radio show on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. So I will update the events calendar on mistresscarrie.com with the updated information about the big gig as soon as it is made publicly available, which is going to be Friday morning. So we can talk about it next week, but we will definitely have an answer on Friday. A mail call this week. Wednesday, sorry, nothing came for you this week. Check the mail, but it's been a little crazy. So that's the address. And you guys know how it is. I just get weird stuff in the mail that I love to show you guys. When it comes to the website and the online store, I just want to point out a couple of things. One, orders are getting turned around pretty quickly. Everything that's in the store is in stock. I just want to remind you that if you are going to shop on the website, there are different levels of shipping. So just be cautious, not only on mistresscarrie.com, but anytime you guys are shopping anywhere, when you get to the checkout portion, normally online shopping places will give you shipping options. So don't just click yes, because there's a bunch of different options. And so there's different levels of shipping available on mistresscarrie.com. So I just want to point that out. Birthdays today. If today is your birthday, happy birthday to you. You share it with Lou Reed, Karen Carpenter, Chris Martin from Coldplay, and my soulmate that he doesn't know, my future ex-husband, John Bon Jovi, is celebrating his birthday today. So happy birthday, John. I love you. Okay. I also want to remind you guys about the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. Backstage pass holder number 100 gets the Mistress Carrie prize pack. And let's see. Oh, we already did that live stream. We do exclusive live streams every month. I am going to plan March's live stream, and I will let everybody with Backstage passes know. For the month of March, everybody with a Mistress Carrie Backstage pass gets a discount code that'll give you 10% off of everything in the online store. So if you are looking to get a Mistress Carrie Backstage pass, you can just click the Patreon button right in the top right-hand corner of mistresscarrie.com, or just go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie. And you can also find me on social everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I've been making some TikTok videos, by the way. I've been having a little bit more fun with it. The last couple days it's been so freaking cold that I was like, I'm going to make some TikTok videos. So you can find me at Mistress Carrie on TikTok, also on Cameo, and the YouTube channel where all of the Cocktails in the War Room episodes go is the Mistress Carrie YouTube channel as well. So if you aren't able to catch the War Room live and you don't want to go and watch it on Facebook, you can always watch it on my YouTube channel as well. So pretty excited about everything that's going on. Let's see. Celebrating my 20-year anniversary of breaking my leg and being disabled. Oh my God, sounds weird, but it made me a better, more compassionate person, so I don't hate it, says Trina. There are a lot of people that overcome things like accidents, cancer, and they say that those extreme hurdles that they have to get over actually helps them evolve into better people. So Trina, it doesn't surprise me that it's something that you celebrate. I mean, there's a lot of veterans out there that celebrate what they call their Alive Day, which is the day that they were, mortally wounded and came back from the dead, or day that they got shot, and they commemorate the day and they call it their Alive Day. There's an old documentary that was actually hosted by James Gandolfini, who was Tony Soprano on The Sopranos, and he hosted it. I believe it's on HBO. If you go back through On Demand or something, you could probably find it. But it was called like Alive Day Diaries or something like that. And he interviewed a bunch of wounded veterans about their Alive Day. It was a really interesting documentary that he did several years ago in the height of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. So good night, Timothy. Thanks for hanging out with us. Joe, I have no information on a pajama party as of yet. So as soon as I hear back from Danielle on when we're going to have the pajama party, I will definitely let you know. It's been almost a year that I've been trying to get around Cocktails in the War Room, so we're going to make it happen. I guess you don't have the courage. What's going on, Joe? Joe Kyer, your messages are going by really fast, so I don't know what you're talking about. I guess you don't have the courage. I don't know what that means. Sopranos was the best show. I totally agree, Steve. Celebrating 5 days of being divorced. Congratulations, Brenda. I need a WAF patch for my jean jacket. Anybody got one? Brad wants to know. I can't remember the last time WAF made patches. I really can't. I baked him his favorite Italian cream-filled pastries. Oh, sounds delicious, Paula. Wow, I'm going viral with... Please stand by us. Joe, I don't understand what I don't know what's going on with that. Please stand by us. She's playing harder to get than Sully, says Renee. I think I'm like getting left out of some jokes or something that's going on in the comments. If you guys could see how fast this comment scroll goes by. Sometimes Paula's dad's 84th birthday is today. Okay, thank you, Brianna, for chiming me in. Happy birthday to Paula's dad. 84, badass. Trina says, I love James Gandolfini, such a kind and compassionate person. What about Jimmy Kimmel? I have no idea what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. I have no idea. I've been pretty busy today, so I'm not caught up on everything, and normally I produce the sit rep later on at night, which is when I comb through all of the news, so I don't know what's going on with Jimmy Kimmel. Is Brent Smith going to be at the boat? Probably not. It's kind of hard to get people to travel. I mean, it would be great if I could get him to come in via Skype, but no, I'm not gonna. I would love to be able to say Brett Smith from Shinedown's going to be there, but no, that's not going to happen. They're actually working on a new record. If you watch the Shinedown social media pages, they have been taking pictures of the recording studio, so they're definitely hard at work. We need to get The Rock on the podcast, Kaiser. You know what I would do to get The Rock on the podcast. I'm not even lying. I think you should try to get Ozzy and Sharon. I would love to get Ozzy and Sharon on the podcast. Degrading women like the mayor in New York. It wasn't the mayor, it was the governor of New York, Joe. That was Cuomo, who is in a bunch of hot water. I'll just say this about anybody that is degrading women. It seems to be being used as a political pawn right now, that when left-leaning people get in trouble, right-leaning people are very quick to call them hypocritical. I'll just remind everybody that there have been a lot of allegations about a lot of people, and that includes the former president, and a lot of more right-leaning people didn't want to listen, and there were 37 credible allegations against the former president. So I want all of these allegations investigated, and anybody that is doing wrong by women, I've experienced it to a certain amount. I'm not going to get into that story, but it does happen. There are a lot of people that are surprised I didn't deal with a lot more like sexual harassment kind of stuff with all the years at AAF, but I didn't. There were very isolated instances with one specific person in general that I had issues with in my lengthy career working in rock and roll, which is pretty extraordinary. But there are a lot of women that deal with a lot of bullshit. And as we've learned, a lot of these allegations turn out to be true. And it takes sometimes one brave person to come forward for a lot of other people to finally find the courage. And I'm just saying that if you're going to throw stones at somebody like Governor Cuomo or Jimmy Kimmel, let's not forget that we had someone in the White House for 4 years that had 37 or 36 credible accusations and lawsuits and all of that stuff against them, the same way that we had him when Clinton was in the White House, and there were a lot of allegations then too. So let's be fair and call out everybody equally when it comes to all of that stuff, because there's a lot going on. And I think what shocks me, and it's not shocking to a lot of women, it shocks me that men are still surprised at the amount of stuff that women have put up with in the workplace. And when I have conversations with a lot of my guy friends, especially when you're working in a male-dominated field, it's so hard to get the jobs in the first place that these women feel like, well, they're not only going to lose this job they work so hard for, but it's going to ruin them within that, whatever industry they work in, finance, the entertainment industry, whatever it is, because word gets around. And even though legally an employer is not supposed to go around and badmouth a former employee when they call for references and all of that stuff, we all know that it happens. The same way that employers find a way to let a woman go while she's pregnant. Like these things are still happening in 2021. And it shocks me that people are still shocked by it. And what I say to a lot of my friends, my male friends, because I've talked about it extensively, that I've just always been someone that was surrounded by male friends. I've always had guy friends. I was one of the only girls growing up in the neighborhood, so I always got to play Princess Leia when we played Star Wars when we were kids. And I always tell all of my guy friends, you don't think it's a big deal until you have a daughter and you look at the world the way that it looks to her. Or you wait at home for the woman that you love to come home crying because she's getting harassed herself, or she just got fired, or your mom just got laid off because now she's a little bit too old, even though her coworkers are older than she is, but they're guys and they're not the ones that got laid off. or you're the one consoling your wife or your girlfriend or fiance when she's up for a promotion that you know she's qualified for, and you hear that she didn't get it even though someone that was less qualified did. Tim, women get paid less, absolutely. Sometimes it's because the women are so afraid to push for more money because they're afraid to lose the job because they're so dependent on it. A lot of times they're single moms with kids and they can't afford to lose their jobs. We're not in a vacuum. There are a lot of nuances to this argument. There's a lot of things going on in this conversation, but the fact that anybody is surprised that this stuff is still going on, that's the shocking thing to me. And it shocks me that people are so quick to point it out on one side, but not on the other side. You know, last time I saw, there was 3 allegations against Cuomo, and everybody's like, get him out of office, and he's a hypocrite. But there were 30 something against the guy that was in the White House for the last 4 years, and everybody was like, they just hate him and those allegations aren't real, even though they're documented and there were court cases and there was plenty of proof to prove that it was real. The same way that we all know things were going on with Clinton. So it's like, you know, there's plenty of allegations to go around and to believe. And I think what's shocking now is that some of these things are getting caught on tape and on film. And it sucks that it takes that it takes video, whatever it is, whether you're talking about an incident of police brutality or sexual harassment, whatever it is, it's like, if you don't get it on video now, it's almost unbelievable, where the accusation isn't enough, where the physical evidence isn't enough. It's like, well, you have to get it recorded in high definition camera phone video or on someone's Ring doorbell before anybody can be believed. And what about us men? Joe, it happens to men too. Absolutely. The problem is, it doesn't happen as often because there are less women in position of power, but it does happen. And when it does happen, that's wrong too. Part of the issue is that there is less sexual harassment with men because there's less women in a position of power. And there's less women in a position of power because there's still issues with equality with men and women in the workplace. So it's this churning thing, and it's there's a lot going on here. I also have heard that there are a lot of women that make these false allegations, whether it be sexual assault allegations. I mean, look at what's going on with Marilyn Manson. People have been, I mean, Harvey Weinstein, people were saying this about him for years. I just saw a video the other day of Courtney Love. There's a thread on TikTok that says, show somebody who was vilified in the moment and proven right in modern time or whatever. And there was video of Courtney Love on a red carpet one day, and I think it was like while she was still acting, and she said something like, well, all I'll say is if Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party in the Four Seasons Hotel, don't go. And she gave that interview like 10 years ago. So this stuff has been out there. I hear it from a lot of my guy friends that once they have daughters, they realize what the world looks like through their daughter's eyes. And that really gets them to understand, because there are so many things that guys just don't. It's not an ignorance thing. It's we all find it harder to imagine something that is different from us. You know, I can't imagine what it's like to be a guy and the pressures of masculinity that are put on boys when they're little. I can't imagine what it's like to be African American or Asian right now, or what it was like to be Muslim after 9/11, or because all I can do is lead with empathy and try to be a better person and stick up for people that I know are good people. But it's just as difficult for a guy to try and imagine what the world is like as a woman. It's difficult because it's not, until someone explains it to you or until you see it happening to someone that you love, you just find it very difficult to put yourself in those people's shoes. And I think that we're starting to see this stuff more and more. And so all I can say is, Obviously in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. And that's just in a court of law. But in order to be proven guilty, there has to be a criminal case and it has to go to court. And in some of these cases, which is an important point, there's a statute of limitations. So even if it takes a woman 10 years to finally come forward about harassment or an assault or anything like that, sometimes the law isn't there for her to be able to finally be financially secure enough or to have gone through enough therapy to be able to actually talk about it and to be able to name her her assaulters, to accuse them finally. And the law's not on her side. It's a broken system all the way around. False allegations do come out in the wash, Trina, absolutely, and they get proven false. The problem is it's way easier to prove false allegations than it is true ones sometimes. And we've seen it play out on television, in our own government, with our own companies. We've seen actors and politicians and CEOs all step down. We've seen businesses and sports teams handed over racist comments. And it's crazy. And the only thing I can say is, when you're hiring people, hire the best and most qualified. But that's even a nuanced thing, because sometimes there are skills that, I saw it with my own eyes. I'll tell you guys a story about an example I learned in Afghanistan. There are a lot of people in the argument, obviously, now that women are, being opened up to special operations jobs and women in the infantry. And there is a lot of arguments about, whether women belong in those combat roles and all of that stuff. And we're not even getting into that. What I will tell you is that when I was in Afghanistan in 2011, I went up into the mountains and saw the construction of a school. And inside the grounds of the schoolyard, one of the things that they always did, and it cost $5,000, I found out, to dig a well, because a lot of those villages up in the mountains of Afghanistan, the women have to travel pretty far to get water, and they carry buckets of water for miles and rocky roads and whatever. And so one of the things that the U.S. military was doing in the rebuilding process while they were deployed in Afghanistan was digging wells. The military would go into these villages, and because the military members, the U.S. service members, and our what's the word I'm looking for? My brain just totally, and our allied forces that were over there, they would go into the village, and because they were all men for the most part, the women, because of the culture, couldn't talk to the men. The women would all be hustled inside, and the tribal leaders, the head of the household, would go out and communicate through an interpreter with the military members from the U.S. And so the military sent the Army Corps of Engineers or whoever to go out and dig all of these wells, and the wells kept getting sabotaged. And they couldn't figure out why they were getting sabotaged. Was it terrorists? Like, what was going on? And finally, they found out that the women in the village were sabotaging the wells themselves. Now, the wells were getting put in the village to save the women the trip of carrying the water. But because there were no women with the allies to actually go in and have conversations with the women in the villages to find out what they actually needed, the only time that the women were allowed to socialize, the only time they were allowed out of their homes unsupervised, was when they were sent miles down those rocky roads with buckets to get water, and they were allowed to go out alone. And by the U.S. military going into these villages and digging those wells, it literally took the only social outlet that these women had that was unsupervised out of the house away. And so the women were sabotaging the wells to save their social lives, to allow themselves the opportunity to leave the house. And had any of the U.S. military had any women with them to be able to go in and communicate with the women in the villages to find out what was going on, it would have saved a lot of money and it would have saved a lot of effort, and the women wouldn't have had to sabotage those wells. So when I talk about hiring people that are qualified and stuff, it's not just the skills that you think. There's nuances there. And that's why when you look at some of these roles for women, these combat roles in these forward operation, in these forward deployments, there are roles and there are reasons for these kind of things. And when they told me that story, I didn't even think of it. And I'm a woman. But when it was explained to me, and when I went up into the mountains and saw how far the women had to travel, and I was like, this is the only time they're not being watched. This is the only time that they are away from the men. This is the only time that they can get together and talk. And yet, when the military would go into these villages looking for intel on weapons caches and all of that stuff, the women were the ones that knew everything, but they couldn't communicate with them because they're culturally not allowed to talk to the men. It's just a small cultural example, but it's one of those stories that I look back on and one of those learning and teachable moments for me going all the way to Afghanistan to actually go, wow, okay, because as a woman here in America, I can't imagine that having to carry water 3 miles in buckets would be my only social outlet and the only opportunity for me to talk to my friends. I can't even imagine that. And it was amazing to me. So there's a lot going on in this world, and we all have to figure out how to lead with empathy and compassion and be better in every aspect, because life's too hard. I mean, I've talked to you guys a bunch about starting my company, and when I put things in the store, you guys know how important it is for me to be able to try and find products that are made in America and things that are made locally and things that are made by veteran-owned companies. Is it the easiest all the time? No. Is it the cheapest? No. But if we all just try to do a little bit more, like our anniversary party, you know what? There are plenty of national kind of chain places that we might have been able to do something like this, but I thought it was really important to try to find a local business and to help a local club that has its future goals of hosting more and more rock shows. So why don't we take our time and go, you know what, let's support this local business. And hopefully we'll all be able to go and watch some live bands at sooner than later. So none of this is going to get solved on Cocktails in the War Room on episode 20. I just hope that every week when we all leave here, we all feel like we're a little bit understood, a little bit more understood than we were yesterday, that we all leave here with common goals, and that every once in a while you might hear something and look at something a little bit different, or maybe you read a comment from somebody else in the war room that made you think a little bit. You know, the one thing that we've been able to do for almost a year here in the war room is that we've been able to have really amazing adult conversations, and we've been able to be respectful and to talk through a lot of really hard stuff. Think about everything that we've gone through in the last year, all of the changes in the world, all the scary things, all of the funny things. I mean, this has literally been like an online support group for all of us, and I know I'm a better person for it. I know that having this platform to be able to see the compassion and the empathy that you guys use, and the way that we're all able to support each other through illness and death and financial issues and family struggles and divorces, and to be able to celebrate things like anniversaries and birthdays and babies and weddings. This has been just an amazing place for all of that stuff. And, if the world could be a little bit more like the war room, I think we'd all be better off. But, yeah, John just said right there, that's good insight on how the Afghani culture works. Thank you. And that's not Afghani culture all the way around. I'm talking remote parts of the mountain regions of Afghanistan. But I think it's an important life lesson that things aren't always how they appear. The motivation of the allies to go into these villages and dig wells is an amazing thing. Who could have thought that it could be a negative for the people they were trying to help? And it just forces you to kind of look at the situation from the eyes of the women. And that was what I was talking about, is just putting someone else's shoes on and looking at it from a different perspective. And you can learn something sometimes and kind of understand, wow, okay, the world doesn't look the same to everybody and it doesn't function the same way to everybody. Heidi says, thanks, Carrie, and thanks to the War Room peeps. I know this group just helped me a lot on that. Yeah, that's why it's worth celebrating with an anniversary party. So I want to remind you guys about the anniversary party. Once again, I want to thank the guys at the boat for inviting us up there. They're on Tingsboro Road in Dracut. You can go to the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. The links are there to get directions, their Facebook page, all their social media stuff. It's all up there. And I'll just remind you guys about some of the specifics. It's going to be a bonus episode of Cocktails in the War Room on Sunday night, March 14th. They're open all day, but I'm planning on being there, by 7 o'clock or whatever. The show obviously starts at 8:30 like it does every other night. They're only operating on 50% capacity like every other restaurant and business. It is 21 plus. So everything is going to be COVID compliant. You need to wear your masks, 6 feet apart, everything we're all used to by now. There is a full bar and there is food there. It's really good bar food. Like I said, I had the buffalo chicken macaroni and cheese and it was delicious, but they have tacos and a bunch of other stuff. Yes, we are going to have Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts available, and there are going to be some guests. So I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to be able to meet some of you. I know that it's not possible for us all to get together right now. My hopes are eventually to be able to have events where we can invite everybody. And I also understand that there's a lot of people that are still really trying to be careful and to stay home. And that I totally respect that, which is why we're going to do a bonus episode of the show so we can still get together live. And what I think is going to be really funny is that I'm sure there's going to be people at the boat that are on their phones chiming in on the comments live while they're in the room, because to be able to still communicate with everybody. I also look forward to all of the selfies, the mask selfies from the War Room. If you already have your War Room t-shirts, definitely wear them, especially if you got OG shirts. You got to wear them that night to the party. Absolutely. What time does Sully go on stage? Sully's not playing. I don't want you guys to get your hopes up because I don't want you to be disappointed the night of the show. I'm working on some guests. I'm trying to get some people to stop by. I'm trying to get some people to chime in via Skype. But, don't get your hopes up that like I'm reuniting Led Zeppelin on stage, because it's just not going to happen. This is just an opportunity for us to kind of stick our toe in the water and try to find a way to slowly be able to get back into the world the way that I hope we're all going to be able to. The people at Live Nation, there's a lot of people saying that they're hoping we're going to be able to do shows by fall. And the bands, a lot of them are saying they're slotting tours for 2022 because they need lead time to be able to get gear and crews and buses and trucks and to be able to book venues. The venues aren't allowed to book shows yet. So the venue calendars are crazy. And a lot of venues obviously are straddling sports team schedules as well. So there's a lot going on to be able to get these shows scheduled and up and running. Mark says, what party? What do you mean, what party? It's right there. It's the first thing we talked about tonight. You should totally go virtual with the party. We are. We're going to be live at the party for a bonus episode of Cocktails in the War Room. So if you're not able to join us, you can watch it online. We're going to be live starting at 8:30 on March 14th, live from the boat, which I'm really excited about. So stick our toe in the water from the boat, right? There you go. Yes, Carrie's, you guys are such assholes. I'm telling you, you guys are starting all these rumors. And you know what's going to happen is that somebody's going to just see these comments and be like, wait a minute, Carrie promised Shinedown, Godsmack, and Led Zeppelin are playing? Like, wait, what? This is how rumors get started. You guys got to knock it off. Bastards. Jen, have a good week as well. Let's see. It's already on my Google Calendar. That's why I put it up on the events calendar at WA. I mean, I almost said it again at WAF.com. You would think after a year it wouldn't still roll off the tongue, but it still does on mistresscarrie.com. So there you go. Speaking of that, don't forget, episode 39 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight, and I cannot wait to hear your comments next week when we get together about this week's episode featuring Sully Erner from Godsmack. I think you guys are going to love this episode. So thank you guys for hanging out with me through 120 episodes. I will see you guys next week, and the podcast goes live at midnight. Good night, guys.